songs back in the day. Now, the weather is turning more autumnal by the day, isn't it? And this time of year, you like to get out with your kids, but if it's raining or windy, sometimes indoors are better options. But, you know, that's not always an option for everyone, particularly something like the cinema. You know, for some children with disabilities, a trip to the cinema can be very difficult or impossible until now. The Dorset Children's Foundation has just opened an inclusive cinema in their Boscombe store. Rebecca Clapcott was there at the opening and told us just how much of a difference it could make to families like hers.
I'm a really proud mum to Awesome Archie. I have 4 children in total, 3 of whom are neurotypical, and our gorgeous Awesome Archie has autism, ADHD and lots of other different things going on with him. For families like us and for parents like me, going to a cinema isn't just the kind of average trip for most families. It's actually very, very stressful. Archie may stim, make noises, and that can be very disturbing. And it shouldn't feel embarrassing, but it does as a parent. And I want to say I'm really grateful for the DCF and for everyone who's made this thing possible, because actually how wonderful that we're going to be able to have a cinema experience in a safe and inclusive environment.
Rebecca Clapcott's talking about her experiences with the DCF's new cinema, the Dorset Children's Foundation. We've got Adrienne Coles from the charity on the line with us now. Adrienne, good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Nice to have you there. I don't know where to start with. Let me ask you about the cinema first of all, because I'm looking on the website and all this list of wonderful kit that's been installed there in your Boscombe store to make this, you know, as close to a real cinema experience as possible.
Yes, it's absolutely fantastic. We're so grateful to Living for Cinema that have actually donated it to us and their partners. So the charity themselves, the Dorset Children's Foundation, who I represent, we started Accessible for All a few years ago, and the cinema is actually another part of this offering. So we stage events and sporting activities for disabled children. We really want disabled kids to have the same opportunities as able-bodied children. And the cinema is part of that. Yeah. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's in our children's shop in the Sovereign Centre in Boscombe.
Yes, and in terms of the sorts of things that might put parents like Rebecca off taking their children to the cinema, you're addressing those with accessible space, somewhere that is friendly. It doesn't matter if someone like Archie comes along and makes a bit of noise while they're watching a film. Exactly. Those sorts of things.
Yes, definitely. That's it. We're all about inclusivity, and that's what all our events are. So, all the families that we support will be able to enjoy that. And not only that, we have story time. So our shop itself, when it's not open for retail, sometimes when it is open for retail, we actually use the space for different things like craft making, drama, story time, and we can actually have use the cinema for our multicultural society and have, for example, translated Polish story time. We also actually educate about inclusivity, so we'll be having workshops in there and use the cinema. We'll actually also have bespoke birthday parties for the families that we support, so we could have a Frozen themed birthday party in the shop popular, with the surround sound. I mean, it really is something amazing, and they can come along and we can put bean bags down and they can get out of their wheelchairs if they're a wheelchair user and relax and enjoy it in a really, really inclusive environment.
So lovely. I mean, I guess just to help people understand this, we're not talking here about a cinema that's going to have a capacity of hundreds. This will be, at most maybe a couple of dozen people in your shop?
Yes, probably not a couple of dozen. We'll have to move the rails and clothes out of the way. I mean, we really are a tiny, tiny team. We rely on volunteers, and we're a tiny independent charity. And something we're very proud of is that we do keep small. So it means that 100% of any donation goes to the children that we support, because we cover our overheads, which we keep very low, by the sales from our charity shops.
Yeah, but this means that a parent of a child with additional needs could come to you presumably and say, look, we love to give them a cinema experience. presumably you've got a Blu-ray player set up there. They could even say, look, we'll bring this disc of their favourite film in, and we can do them popcorn. They can, like you say, they can use the bean bags, and they can have that experience that so many other children just take for granted.
Exactly that, yes. And our parents, the feedback has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's not the only thing we do. We do craft days. We've got an FA affiliated football team. We hire the skate park for inclusive use just for our children, so that they're not jostled by a bigger child and they can go with their mobility equipment all up and down the ramps, for example. In the summer, we chartered Wet Wheels, which is a fantastic accessible boat with 4 wheelchair spaces. It's the sort of thing that potentially a disabled child would very rarely get the opportunity to have that experience, but they could feel the sun on their face, the wind in their hair, the motion of the boat, and they actually even get to drive the boat as well and be skipper. So it's all these things that the Dorset Children's Foundation are doing, and it really is, enhancing the lives of disabled children and all the family, the siblings as well. We often try and include them as much as we can.
All right, we'll keep doing the fabulous work. Appreciate you coming on to talk to us this morning, Adrienne Coles from the Dorset Children's Foundation, their new cinema inside their Sovereign Centre shop in Boscombe in Bournemouth. Thank you for listening this morning. Appreciate you being with us. If you're just turning your radio on, don't fret.